Hi again then guys, and welcome to another car review from the world of GT Sport, another revisiting of a vehicle from Gran Turismo 6, where I reviewed it in the past, and that is of course the Mitsubishi XR-PHEV Evolution, part of the Vision GT program, taking elements from Mitsubishi's production PHEV vehicles, which, I'll be honest, I actually prefer over this one. I like the normal PHEVs, even though they're not as, fast or powerful. They just, to me, they're more interesting than this. It's just a big bloated looking box to me, which doesn't really have performance that matches up to its power, and the handling was fine in Gran Turismo 6. Now that was my thoughts back then. Has anything changed now? Well, of course its main rival is the Subaru, as always the VIZIV, and that car also irked me because it felt too much like a front-wheel drive car, which just doesn't really suit a Subaru as far as I'm concerned. In this game it's better, still has those characteristics, and I will say straight off the bat, the Mitsubishi absolutely trounces the Subaru for cornering. It's way better. And I will also say that yes, I do like this car more in GT Sport. The physics of the game suit the handling of a number of the Vision GTs better, but this one in particular when it comes to off-roading just feels more natural than the Subaru, which is so weird to me. You would think that the development team for Subaru would at least spend some time in making the car, and I guess it's more Polyphony's fault rather than Subaru, of how to map a vehicle from such an iconic rally-related brand into the game and have it feel authentic, both on and off-road. But it just kind of doesn't. It feels like the off-roading is an afterthought. With the Mitsubishi, it actually feels really good off-road, and the proportions of the car, which are strangely similar to a Chaparral 2J in a weird kind of way, it's almost like a cube, is actually pretty conducive to off-roading, because it's so wide that you don't really have any kind of body roll at all. Mitsubishis are already known for having neutral steering, the Evo for instance. This one carries that over very well. And to me, one of the things that I also prefer about this Mitsubishi now is that feeling, the off-road aspect of being like an Evo, at least in spirit, and combining that with Subaru's, at the time, latest PHEV technology. To me, I get that. I don't like the styling, and I probably never will, but I get the idea. It combines then and now. I love that. I love vehicles that combine old stuff and new stuff seamlessly together, so even though I'll probably never like the look of the car, I can at least appreciate what they were trying to do. With Subaru, on the other hand, I just don't really get it. It doesn't look like a Subaru, it doesn't perform like a Subaru, it doesn't even feel like Subaru's most iconic cars, so I don't really know what they were trying to achieve with it. It's this weird shooting brake supercar, front-wheel drive, weird kind of thing. But anyway, that car was in its own review. As far as this one goes, as I said, the cornering is already, as far as I'm concerned, better than the Subaru, both on and off-road. You do have, if memory serves, active yaw control, as you would with an Evo, which is a nice touch, and it completely changes the handling as well on this car. And as far as the spec sheet goes, well, of course it hasn't really changed since the last game, but it's still pretty impressive. Surprisingly impressive, in fact. Of course, it's a hybrid, 3-litre engine, 502 horsepower, which is decent enough. Far more impressive, 749 pound-feet of torque, which is very, very good. That's more than, an Audi Q7 V12 TDI or Peugeot's 908 Le Mans car, so that's pretty impressive. And the weight is 1,350 kilos, which for an all-wheel drive, PHEV-based, reasonably large vehicle is actually not too bad. That's on par with like a, 2013-ish GT3 car. Again, as I said, not bad at all. The price tag is of course 1 million credits, as any Group X Vision GT would be. Of course it is in that category as well, because they all are. And in terms of usability, well, you can make the same argument that I always would, and that is that you can use it in one-make stuff, you can use it in lobbies where, there are no restrictions, but beyond that you're not going to be using it a huge amount. And the unfortunate thing about some of the Vision GTs in particular, at least by my money, is that they don't really have the chance to fit into the game as well as I think the people who design them intended them to. I think that sometimes, and this wouldn't surprise me at all knowing Polyphony's lack of communication, not only with the community but with brands as well, and I actually have facts to back that up, it's not just an opinion, they don't seem to always, and again this part is conjecture, but to me they don't always interpret what you hear the designers talking about with the car into the game. Sometimes you have this car that the designers clearly had a certain vision for, even when it comes to handling and performance and trackability, that just is not like that in the game. The most recent example is probably the Jaguar. The way that they were talking about that car's development and design and inspirations, you can get what they were going for. And then what you end up with in the game is this borderline undrivable supercar that's only good in a straight line. I don't think that that's what they wanted it to be like, and I think that a similar problem can occur perhaps with the Mitsubishi and Subaru as well, but probably on an earlier scale, because nobody intentionally tries to design a Vision GT that's underwhelming, and yet both of these to some degree kind of are. They're fast, but they're not really fast enough to be impressive in a Gran Turismo sense. You know, it's kind of hard to describe. They are quick vehicles, but they're not going to worry any kind of race car anytime soon. They're not agile enough to beat supercars. They're just in this weird no man's land of being like a hyper realistic dream car of a concept. As I said, it's a no man's land to some degree. The Mitsubishi at least has some usability off-road, whereas the Subaru, although better, still feels clunky, to be honest. The handling is still way too front-end heavy, and you have to basically steer using the e-brake. With the Mitsubishi, that's not an issue. You just go full lock into the corner, and you actually don't need to counter-steer. So that is something very different. It can take you maybe a lap or two to get used to that, but once you learn how to use the car, you can actually get some really good dirt laps out of it. As far as using the Mitsubishi, if you do win one or if you choose to buy one, which, let's be honest, I wouldn't recommend doing that because you'll probably win it in a prize draw anyway, I would recommend taking it off-road first, because the on-road stuff is fine. You know, it's a fine car, fast in a general sense, but it's the off-roading stuff where I'm glad to say the Mitsubishi really comes into its own, and that's exactly how it should be. So if I had to bet money on it, I would say that the Mitsubishi people would probably be more happy with how this car was integrated into the game than the Subaru people would be with how the VIZIV was, because the VIZIV just does not feel right. The Mitsubishi at least feels, well, like a Mitsubishi. It feels authentic. It's not the fastest thing around, but you do get what they were going for, and for that, I do like it. I still don't like the look though, but of course that's down to personal opinion. So tell me your thoughts down below. Do you like the Mitsubishi? How do you feel about the comparison between the two? Do you like the Subaru more, the Mitsubishi more? Do you love them both? Or maybe do you like neither of them? Either way, as I said, give me your thoughts below, and of course, as you'll have seen at the start of the video, if you're new to the channel, I would strongly recommend updating your subscription down below to the notification bell being turned on, because otherwise you simply won't see my new videos. But overall, that's it for this review. Of course, I'll see you guys next time, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.